What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Showtime is Blazer King with King's Critiques, and we're back for in the clear Moonlit Dusk. And in the last episode, they had their first date, and then typical, not just man coded, but attractive man himbo level coded of he's a dumbass and was completely obvious about the reason why he wanted to be with her, but she also overthought it. Because when somebody says that they want to stare at you forever, yeah, it's kind of creepy. Yeah, it's basing it off looks. But also that means you're the only one they want to be with forever, right? Right? That, logically is to how that comes to. And granted, as teenagers, yeah, that's a little creepy, but honestly, I'm one of those people that's on the end of if you don't find your true love before you're 30, you're gonna die loveless. And as I've pointed out a few times, that's where I'm at in life, and it sucks. But so she should count her blessings that she has somebody that feels like that about her, right? Right. Regardless, we're gonna see how that goes. How he can get out of saying such based things, really, and if she's going to let it slide as easy. The fact she's saying they're talking to him passively, even after he kind of dragged her into the room, creepy as well. Statly shows better, right? Right. Anyway, let's see how. Still don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Yoi feels about his way of things. That said, don't forget hit the like button, subscribe, let the whole video run through, let me get to watch them because all of that's very helpful, as well as anything I'd say at the end of the video. That said, let's get into it, shall we? And okay, he's at least saying the right thing in this instance because they were only experimenting anyway. So him saying something stupid isn't the right to completely write him off. And I mean, again, to be honest, I'm on the end of it might be creepy to say something like that, but at least it has deeper meaning in it of he doesn't want to talk to anyone else right now, so that's a benefit. True, but he has already said over that and thinks he's in love with you. So who's really underthinking things? It's actually funny because that means she's both underthinking and overthinking things. Wow. Also, I didn't catch this in the last episode, but that is a very good point. And even if we do know ourselves the best, there's not really a lot that can be done about the things we know, and that is unfortunate sometimes. But that's also why people just need a helping hand sometimes. I've said time and time again, there's that based opinion that you have to love yourself to be loved, but that is also not true. Look at Watanabe. Renako basically feels how I feel about myself, except for she's actually interesting and attractive. But, shit, even as a teenager, I wasn't that attractive. Slightly more attractive than I am now, for obvious reasons, but all I'm saying is, it just requires a little bit of love for somebody to start caring about life again. And that involves somebody to actually want to spend the time to get to know you beyond what is clear. Oh, hey, beyond what is clear in the Moonlit Dusk. No shit. Also, we're about to get an intro. So, button press time. The intro's cute, song's kind of a banger, but you know the rules. First, last episode applicable, because we don't got all the time in the world like that. All much do love and respect to people that make the animation for intros and the music, but I am one of those people. And on top of missing things from my youth, missing things that I will never get back, I miss moments like this. Just hang out with your friends doing whatever the fuck you want on your own respective levels. Maybe if you have intrigue and snacking together, eating together, well, because it's more legal in 99% of places now, smoking together. Uh, it didn't matter. You could just hang out and enjoy your time together. Now, that's just not how life runs. Now, hanging out with friends usually boils down to, if you have friends, drinking at a bar or something, which for decades has really been the worst way to spend your time unless you're moderate about it. So I really do miss these days of being, younger. But that's the exact reason why I continue to watch anime of this level, because at least I get to live vicariously through it and try to enjoy remnants of things. I love how that made his friend choke. I'm just gonna stop and say something about this, and I saw his friend start to choke. Okay, but like, that's kind of one of those things also that makes you know you're either really obsessed with somebody on a general level, which would come back to him being a creepy stalker potentially, and then there's, you're falling in love with somebody that you can't look at anybody else's, anything outside of one specific person, regardless of if it's male or female. Like, you look at somebody and like you just know, and then you're like, shit, you're a dude, huh? Well, guess I might be gay, and that's okay. Sometimes it comes to that level of thing happening for self-realization. I don't think that thing would ever occur with me, regardless on like, as much as people have thoughts on that about me for some reason every now and then. It's like, bitch, not my fault I can't talk to a woman, especially now that it's getting worse nowadays. Not gonna get into that topic and have something to delete just to save the Patreon side. Yeah, stop doing that, really. But, like, it's just hard, man. It really is. That's all I'm leaving at that. Like, well, no, I'll finish off one more thing. I like titty too much to go to the other side. And, like, even with the cringe things happening nowadays, nah. Basically what I said. And he gets it. Her friends get it because they keep calling it like fate or meant to be, which is, and again, bring up just for a moment, this is why I want closure with the very last girlfriend I had, because if I could get that, then maybe a world will unlock for me. Unfortunately, unless I like meet a private investigator that can find out information for me. Meanwhile, she's having a panic attack about that situation, and yeah, I kind of deserved, because that was A, kind of foolish to say, honestly. Like, I'll continue to go with that, considering, again, he did basically already say he kind of might be falling for you, so he did already say something similar. You just kind of, like, wanted to find something to whine at him about. Yeah, I kind of figured that's where that was leading with all the random cuts to different parts of her day. So she came to find him. What does that say about her, though, and her feelings? Immediately ignoring his friends and the other girls for for her. Shows a lot about his feelings too, though, huh? I love how the one girl pointed out the obvious. What about his leg? He moved pretty briskly for having a bad leg. It's like, yeah, no, he was probably lying to you. Sorry. Yeah, no, you can't back out and stutter now that you're the one that came to him. Also, it's funny how they're supposed to keep the relationship a secret, and everybody already knows they're always together. Holy shit, my brain could not compute having so many letters in similar proximity to each other in a row at one time. Wow. I mean, granted, I've only been awake for like a half hour, but Jesus Christ. Because you feel more than you think you do, and he's trying to cover up for your feelings. But as much as this is definitely one of the fastest paced to them actually being a relationship anime I've seen in a hot minute, wanting RA side, you're both still kind of stupid because you're anime main characters. Hope this helps. Okay, but like, why does that look like a rotten and then deep fried lemon? I'm pretty sure that's not what gyoza is supposed to be, but it's. I've never actually. I've probably seen people eat it in anime before, but like, that image, like, to the left of her head, and I guess to the right, or yeah, right of his, those look like rotten, then deep fried lemons. And as per typical hot guy, makes something casual out of an oopsie the previous day, and then goes, "So hey, you want to go out later?" And it works because, well, mentioned it before, mention it again. Story aside, hot privilege. Definitely a thing. Or I guess in the feminine case, pretty privilege, but in either case, it's really hot privilege. Okay, I'm just gonna say that sentence she just said, and like, I'm not gonna rewind because it was in like 2 or 3 different clips, so that's annoying. But hey, Patreon side. Out of context, that's just terrible. I don't usually come to places like this, so I'm really nervous. It's like, you do realize what kind of context, and never mind. Okay, and her saying that also does not help out of context. Wow, cock blocking. The loud ones are here. Damn, what a thing to say about your own friends. I mean, granted, understandable, but damn. And the defining factor of what divides it to an actual hangout and an actual date. Because if he lets them join, yeah, no, it kind of like not only cockblocks him on a metaphoric basis, because again, they're not to that point yet, I would think. And I really wish there was a socially acceptable term I could use for her end of things, but the only thing I can think of is definitely not socially acceptable. Unless you're British, then you can probably say it without any sort of consequences, but. And no, I'm not saying anything weird about that. I'm just saying they often can use synonyms for, well, simply put, vagina in, very passive aggressive terms, and nobody will give a shit. Unlike when we say it here and it's an insult. Which, in this case, kinda, but also not really. Unless, you're using the term cunty. Then that's fine for some reason. Modern day, right? Good. He's being good about it. They're on a date. This is not for them to get into. I mean, you kind of are. Yeah, he apologized for eating the snack food, and he's just like, you motherfucker. And how she's just gonna be like, you let him have that? I don't take back what I said earlier about looking like a rotten lemon that's been deep fried. Like, I know it's supposed to look delicious. Okay, looking at it from the side, though, it looks a little better. It looks kind of like it has the shape of a taco, but it looks kind of like a pierogi. I don't eat pierogies, but that's really the closest thing I could say it looks. Maybe a ravioli? What the fuck is gyoza actually supposed... I'm gonna look this up actually real quick on screen. Editing me, I know you hate me doing things like this, but... Okay, dumpling, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, no, so yeah, it literally... Okay, yeah, alright, so it is a ravioli basically, but dumplings, ravioli, they're kind of like an international coin between Italian and Japan. Okay, they really are the kind of friends that are just gonna stick their nose in anyway. Like, the one's annoying about it, but at least the other's, like, trying to keep secret, but they're not even having their own food yet. And instead of giving... Or is this a kind of a jealousy aspect? Like, not only is he gonna prevent them from looking at her to annoy her, but just in general because jealousy? Maybe perhaps by chance? If it's jealousy, that's gonna get insane considering the whole school looks at her basically. And him, so at least that's like mutual, I guess. Yeah, regardless on if it's his own jealousy or for the sake of her being less embarrassed about the situation, he took a spot just to shield her. Which again, some women would call creepy and weird and leave and cringe and blah blah blah. But like in one way, it's also a very like honorable thing, especially because it's not like he's trying to protect her from everybody, specifically his dumbass friend looking at her. Which, yeah, that's understandable because he's being kind of weird about it and even creepier than him. I didn't know that was possible. This is an episode of out of context things. Like, again, we have something that if we didn't have the context for it, would be a wild statement. But is he being honest about that or just saying it to humor her? I mean, in either case, again, not bad. Like, I don't know. I feel this is one of those things where maybe I'll watch an anime or two of the season. I probably won't remember to watch much of the current running season, but maybe I'll try. We'll see. But remember how, well, maybe not, a couple seasons ago, when Dress Up Darling, Don and Don were running together, it was a matter of, good boyfriends of the season between Ken and Gojo, and probably a couple others I could take into consideration at the time. But for however many anime this season I do watch, he's cringe, he's weird, he's creepy, but he's doing his best. And now, rumors. Accurate rumors, but rumors. Is that a problem? Even if she was a he, that's fine too. Really? Bitch, come on. I mean, that's true too, but like, you've spent many years of your life hearing things like that, and now it offends you? Or is it only offending you because you're with another guy? Because honestly, I'm gonna throw this out there, like, it shouldn't matter. Like, if you're a guy that falls in love with a potentially masculine looking woman, unless you get down to the nitty gritty, because, again, momentary thought process of she has her femininity when it matters. All I'm putting out there about that. So, does it matter what other people think if your girlfriend is more masculine 90% of the time? No, it shouldn't. And she shouldn't take offense to it because she's been referred to that way her entire life. So just because she's with her boyfriend doesn't mean that she should think the other way when she hears things like that. Then again, that's my opinion on that. Y'all might think different, but he's probably even sitting there thinking, you really shouldn't let that bother you still. Like, yeah, you look kind of like a guy sometimes from other perspectives, but if you were, I would still be dating you. And matter of fact, we still have enough time left in the episode to where I could totally see him mentioning that right to her. He did already mention it to his friends, so why wouldn't he be acting normal? You're the one overthinking things. Still being offended by the tomboy appearance while also, wanting to be with him, which again, he doesn't give a shit, so. Again, we talk about subtext being needed for statements. And yeah, it's visually giving subtext. But imagine if it didn't. Like, if I still had hardware accelerator, turned on the other way, so you're not actually getting images, and instead would just be seeing the subtitles in the black screen. Like, imagine if you only saw the subtitles of the show we were checking out. Yes. Yes, you are. Which is crazy because, like, again, from the perspective of man or woman, you are attractive. Like, again, either gender basis, she has some very pretty eyes. And that is, like, why I knew immediately, honestly, that it was a studio I knew. Granted, I was imagining it'd be somebody else than it is, but Silverlink is still a great company. And there's a couple of anime that I need to finish from them, too. Like, pretty sure it's an Eminence and Shadow Silverlink. Am I crazy? Yeah, that's one of those things I need to finish. And I need to order the shirt for that. And that, I think, is still on Amazon. See, she thinks he's going to say something fucked up. But, honestly, I thought he was just going to say it outright. Also, hold on, thumbnail. So, is he going to kiss her, or is he just going to get away with a cheek kiss to not have her yell at him? She's going to pussy out, isn't she? No, she didn't. But I'm probably right, and he went for the cheek instead of the lips. Oh, he didn't even connect yet. It's just that close. But also, while I might look like this, I do know that kind of thing is also smooth as hell when trying to flirt with somebody you know probably has feelings for you as well. But you want to make sure. He at least gave her the fair chance to decline, and, well, he's going to be respectful about it. Again, I've said this in things before, including the show. In America, it wouldn't have gone over so well most of the time unless it was somebody that looks like me. Yeah, that might paint me as a certain type of person that it really shouldn't, but hey, that's just how it is. Yeah, sure, that's why. You were eating gyoza. I love how he makes a logical excuse for it instead of, like, questioning it. But, understandable. Like, honestly, even if I got the chance, that's probably half the reason at least I'd get declined, other than, again, the obvious. Because, man, I eat a lot of food that probably still residuates within my breath, even if I fucking had spent 24 hours brushing my teeth straight or chewing gum or something. Because the amount of, like, garlic and onion type stuff that I eat probably builds up in the system after a while, right? Yeah, well, that's the point of being a. I wish I could have trademarked it, fat fucking ugly chud. It's almost like I said gum and it just appeared. Yeah, and that's before she starts yelling at him about the hand holding. That's also a thing I do miss about being young, though, like being able to actually take the time with things and enjoy things instead of just like feeling like a rush is needed on things because like that one foot in the grave has turned into an entire leg. Like, do I blame Japan in part for believing that 30 is like basically dead? Yeah, maybe a little bit because at least that one anime that I watched of the two getting a isekai and a 30-ish-year-old businessman being called old did really kind of drive home, and once that number hit, I just took it personally. So, do I blame anime for that? A little bit, yeah. But I also blame, my body deteriorating more and more as the days go by. No, you said that. I merely signed the contract. Exactly what he just said. Now, what do you mean by that? Because, like, if he's offering his hand to hold hands to see if he likes you, but you say it should be the opposite, then why don't you offer your hand to him? Okay, yeah, it's understandable where her thought process is, all things considering. The Princess Carrie up top, the cuddling in bed while she's sick, and then already trying to hold her hand, or at least touch it in a comforting way back there. Yeah, okay, I can get where she's confused. But he's also being way more patient about things than, again, he said himself with most girls that he's been with, or that I've said and is a base as hell take of, than most hot guys would be patient with. So, like, platonic, usually I would infer to mean like you have no interest whatsoever in somebody romantically or sexually, to which, that's a lie. But at least he hasn't tried anything big other than that kiss just now. Okay, again, we refer to what's going on in the middle there, but. And now he's going to do the smart thing and be like, and so what? Better, yeah, it would be even better if he actually continued on like he did with his friends of, even if you were a guy, I would want to be trying this. He TLDR'd it. Although those are acceptable things to have said to you because it, again, is a good thing to want to be desired. Like, yeah, if that's the only thing, I get it. If he doesn't, like, find other things about her that he's into, I get not wanting to have things go that way. But also, that's how it starts, and that's not a bad thing. Like, it's been widely known for a long time that the thing that, like, usually gets people's attention is appearance. And, like, yeah, it's a bad thing in, again, cases like mine, because, well, but in most cases, it's not a bad thing to want somebody to find you attractive. Especially if it, like, shatters any preconceived notions about, like, believes in somebody being attracted to you because of who you are or not gender wise. And that's kind of how that should be, instead of, lying to somebody about it and then crying at them when they find out the truth. Which that's happened way more than it should have been. Not just history, but recent history more so. There have been a bunch of times with those old talk shows like Jerry and Maury and stuff where those were totally a thing that happened, and, well, yeah. But regardless, like, he has said many times to her that she's attractive, and that he didn't care if she was a he. So, like, not wanting it based solely on that is fine, but you really need to, like, lower your guard a little, because it's better than, like, a bunch of girls swooning over you because they think you're a guy, and then still swooning over you, but being slightly disappointed that you're not. Okay, but pause. Sister kinda hot. I don't have to make an excuse about moral high ground because I imagine she's probably an older sister. So, yes, no, because, like, between the body and those eyes, at least, yes. Well, she's not in the middle of drinking anything, so there's going to be no spit take, but it's definitely going to be a surprise reaction of some kind. Yep, there it is. Again, she nailed it. Which celebrity does he look like is a crazy thought process for her sister to be on. But I guess if you look like she does and get referred to as a prince, you'd kind of have to have a standard for what your sister might accept into her life. Which, again, could go into a lot of thoughts on that, but we'll just go with the one simplest thought of base. And she's aware of the nickname her sister has at school. That's actually kind of funny. Okay, I wouldn't say he's gremlin-like. Like, that image in her head was very gremlin-like, and, like, listen, I'll call him fuckboy, like, because he's not muscular enough to be a himbo. He's definitely dumb enough at times to be considered a fuckboy. He also has more going on up here than his friends, though, so, like, I don't know, y'all people who are younger, is there a term that's, like, slightly below fuckboy? Because he's definitely smarter than your traditional one, but he's not that smart. Like, he still does and says a lot of dumbass things. But at least he's trying. Hey, yo! What do you mean by that? Okay, maybe he is kind of a gremlin at times. The timing. Listen, that is probably the first time she's actually, like, felt in a state like that her life. I know I brought up, like, episode 1 or 2 about how the middle school age is definitely too young to be finding a boyfriend, so her being a freshman in high school kind of, like, makes sense why now all of these feelings are kind of, like, coming in on her. So, yeah, it's kind of understandable to feel things she had never felt before, but damn, she's taken a whole other level. Clear signs that someone like someone else is grabbing onto them in such an affectionate manner. And, well, not the first time I brought that up. And pretty sure I brought up that exact same thought process in Dress of Darwin Season 2. And, again, best rom-com kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Also, more potential thumbnail fuel, because we love that. Meanwhile, she was probably about to let him do it, and then her friends were looking for her like, oops, okay, never mind, can't do that right now, bye! I think she just exhausted all of her emotional energy. I mean, hey, had you not been called out by your friends, you probably would have done it. It's not a bad thing because it would help the case, but then again, in his own gremlin mindset, he wouldn't have stopped, and questionable where he meant by that, because, like, did he mean it just in the kiss aspect of it escalating from just lips to tongue, even at the base aspect of the relationship, or you mean, like, typical hot guy he couldn't stop, which is not good to go with, but so, like, maybe better that he hadn't. But oh yeah, no, I get that, bro. Like, if I ever had felt something like that in my life, I would have had a crisis moment too. But also, maybe that's helping him, like, come to realization of how he does feel about her properly instead of just, oh, hey, she's hot. Like, I also do think that with the basis of how their relationship is going, I'm going to mention whether it be for just a general sense or maybe trying to record them to have upload next year on Patreon or something. I'm going to be watching the dub of Love is War because A, I didn't realize that Amelie was a voice actor in the show, so that has kind of influenced my decision on that more so than just like, hey, this looks like a fun show. Because it isn't one of those ones that I hate that's like, here's Guy, here's Harem. I'm pretty sure Love is War is literally just like, those two love each other, but they don't want to admit it. Like, it's one of those cases. Like, I'm literally pretty sure that's the plot line. Okay, that's funny. Their peak moments are, like, listed from all 4 episodes. Wait, we actually have an after credits cutscene for the first time. So is he calling or to get the job, or is one of his friends? Oh, here comes the drama. I don't know if that last name is supposed to mean anything. So, cool. We have hot guy for love rival. Right. Well, okay. It's still at least a different level than the way of anime that I usually hate doing things of, like I just said, main character, harem. At least, like, a rivalry for love is more going back to the roots of anime, More going back to the whole, I like this person, and now there's someone else that likes this person, so now we gotta fucking throw hands. Unfortunately, also, a thing I miss from old anime in cases like this, though, is when the love rival appears, some fucking fists start flying. I can't think of a single anime that actually has happened, but I know it probably has, especially in, like, the romance or rom-com or slice of life case. But, anyway. Yeah, Love is War, definitely gotta check that out at some point. Probably won't be anytime soon to make this February, but maybe for next year I'll have it up. Or just in general, kind of like the thing I want to do about ghost stories, because I want to watch that so bad before Amazon nerfs it or pulls it down. Because in this modern day and age, so many jokes of that show will not fly, and I want to watch it so bad in its fullest form. Like, I don't want any of the fucking in bad taste nowadays jokes to get taken out. Like, that just ruins things, man. It really does. But, as far as ruining things or getting opinions on things, I'm gonna do the whole wrap up of hate the fact that they're doing this bullshit, but hopefully it doesn't last for more than an episode or two. However, I am almost caught up, so, like, do I watch the at least one more episode, or do I just, like, leave it on this and find something else that's actually finished to watch for the remainder of the month? Because, I mean, honestly, in cases like this, I feel like I want to just binge through the bullshit and get to the point of the show. Kind of like I skipped a few weeks for Watanabe when it was airing after the drama with Renako and Mai and the sister situation. And then I was reminded, like, hey, yeah, no, the drama doesn't actually last very long. You can go watch that probably by this point. And I was like, cool. And then I did. And then it became my second favorite rom-com of all time. And definitely my first involving Yuri. Well, yeah. I was about to make an excuse for Sakura Trick, but again, 90% of Sakura Trick is them making out. And then they drop plot in episode 11, so I suppose I can't really call that my favorite when it's just fan service for most of it. But, as I always say with things, you can let me know your shots? Yeah, that's a word. Thoughts on the show, the episode, and all of that stuff in the comment section down below. Because I only have 2 episodes of this left to catch up to, so is it worth it to watch the 2 I have? Or is it more worth it just to start on something else that I can watch for the month of February pertaining to your rom-com-y stuff. I'll probably look more into that, but hey, if I see a comment on the video saying otherwise, well, we'll see how that goes. But as always, let me know your thoughts on that stuff, as well as about anything else in the book. Anything else I should check out this season, next season, or in general. Please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the other channels in the description. Ring the bells, like Facebook, follow Twitter, and Blue Sky, keep updated with things. TikTok, Patreon, get the full unedited visual note of the stuff I upload over here. Go follow on Twitch, subscribe for benefits, and until next time, it's been the Blazer King with King's Critiques. Now, ta-ta for now, and peace.